this meeting to order. City of Groves, notice of a regular meeting of City Council, Groves City Chamber, February 13th, 2023. At Groves City Hall. It is 5:33 p.m. Y'all rise for the prayer and pledge.
Oh God, we come before you with gratitude. I thank you tonight, God, for these, your servants, our mayor, our city manager, our city staff, and our city council members. I give thanks for the way of service they have chosen to take upon behalf of all of us here. We all come to this room tonight as complex human beings carrying burdens, carrying joy and hope, trusting that you alone can hold us together, oh God, in your love and peace. And so we pray that you would be glorified tonight through the decisions of this city council. We pray that we would have the eyes to see how our lives are all connected and how our common good is upheld when we listen and respond to those most vulnerable among us. We pray that your kingdom would come in Groves as it is in heaven, through your power working in each of these servants. We pray for wisdom, for strength, for the courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interests of others above our own. May we be good neighbors, recognizing that your image in every person here. We thank you again for this city council, our mayor, our city staff, our first responders, our hospital staff, and all of those who work to make this place we call Groves such a wonderful city. In the name of Jesus, whose perfect love sets us free from all of our fears. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Roll call, city clerk, please.
Mayor Moore,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McAdams,
Here.
Councilmember Dugas. Here. Councilmember Oliver,
Here.
Councilmember Menzel.
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Item 4 on the agenda is approve the minutes of the January 30th, 2023 City Council meeting.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the January 30th, 2023 City Council meeting.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 30th, 2023 City Council meeting. Do I have any questions? No questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benson.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5 will be a presentation of a proclamation designating February 13th, 2023 as Violence in the Workplace Day.
That's part of the minutes.
Yeah.
City of Groves, Texas, Office of the Mayor proclamation. Violence against healthcare workers is on the rise. That has shown that over 5,000 nurses were assaulted in Q2 of 2022. This analyst found that 5,217 nurses were assaulted on the job, which equates to assaults every 2 hours, 57 every day, or 1,739 every month. Advisory Board of 2022. Legislation has already passed, making it third-degree felony in Texas to assault emergency room nurses. Whereas, as we declare that all health workers have the right to be free from violence and threats of violence while caring for our community. And whereas we declare that we will provide protection and respond to all acts of violence and threats of violence to the best of our abilities. And whereas we support initiatives and legislation at local, state, and national levels that promote comprehensive and collaborative approaches to address violence in healthcare settings that are consistent with our positions. Now, therefore, I, Chris Bourne, Mayor of Groves, Texas, do hereby proclaim February 13th, 2023 as Violence in the Workplace Day in the City of Groves, and ask all citizens to join me in supporting a healthcare our healthcare environment free of violence. We hope that standing together will deter individuals from committing these acts against our healthcare workers and allow them to care for our community safely. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Groves to be affixed this 13th day of February 2023. Anybody need a picture before I sit down?
I got one we all talking.
Okay. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Item 6 will be reports and citizen comments. Mr. City Manager, do we have any reports today?
Just one thing I wanted to talk to council about. The last month or so, Troy and Michael have both been kind of updating me on some issues that we have in our wastewater system. And the three of us got together and we would like to see if next agenda, the 5 of you would like to put on the agenda to have a work session so that we can discuss this with all of you and kind of update y'all as well on some things that are kind of intriguing in our system. And I wanted to see if that was okay with all of you to be able to do that. Yeah.
Sure.
We'll take care of that. And we'll have that for next agenda then. We were thinking around March 2nd. It's a Thursday at 5. That's just if y'all want to just put that in your head and we'll go from there. That's all the reports I had in there.
Do I have any citizen comments at this time? Any citizen comments? All right, move on. 7A, consider approval of a request from Oak Grove Nursing Home to receive a discounted rate for permits on the upcoming expansion project.
I make a motion to consider approval of a request from Oak Grove Nursing Home to receive a discounted rate for permits on upcoming expansion project.
Second. Have a motion and a second to consider approval of a request from Oak Grove Nursing Home to receive a discounted rate for permits on the upcoming expansion project. Do I have any questions?
How much of a permit?
They're around 36,000.
36,000.
Yes, ma'am. And we have Daniel Duperson from Oak Grove Nursing here.
Would you like to make a statement, Mr. Daniel?
Thank y'all for considering this, and also wanted to say thanks for that wonderful prayer at the beginning. So it's such a messed up place that we live in these days, and it's nice to be a part of a community that still holds those values. So thank y'all. So whenever we were looking to do this project, it was before all the inflation hit. And it was actually a much bigger project. And then, you know, whenever all of our bids came back, it was so much higher that we actually had to scale the project back quite a bit. And then still, it's a lot more than what we were anticipating. So, you know, this has been a really tough business to be in. Through the pandemic, it was one of the, you know, kind of the ground floor, you know, where we were on lockdown the longest of anybody. And we had a couple of really tough years. And so, you know, this project wouldn't have even been possible if our building wasn't so, you know, old. We had a lot of equity in it. So we don't have to come out of cash to get our approval from the bank. So, you know, our position isn't near as strong as what we'd like to be going into it. And, you know, I know that the fees, the billing fees are based on a percentage of the project costs. So that's why they're pretty high. So I think it's 36,000 is what.
What percentage would you be looking for?
I mean, we, you know, we just had to come out 38,000, I think, for our property taxes last month. So it was that'd be a pretty big lick to pay that and then turn around and pay another 36 out of our operating capital to get the project started. So, I mean, I I don't know the number to tell y'all, I mean,
An idea of maybe something that we could.
Mayor, back whenever we, gave a discounted rate to the school district, was that a percentage?
It was either 60 or 40. I mean,
I think it was 60, wasn't it? Was it 60%?
yeah,
Okay.
Don, can you or Lamar
It was a percentage, but I can't remember.
speak to the fact that we identified a few problems with our permitting fees not capping on, you know, some of the larger projects. Does this coincide with the same kind of thing, Lamar? Where if we had a little bit different structure, we wouldn't be so exaggerated on the top end for the bigger projects.
Hell's right, the same issue we dealt with P&G.
I believe the consensus was, you know, we don't really have that many big projects, so it doesn't reach that. But if this is, can I ask you, is this just a remodel, or are you gonna be adding beds at the same time?
we are doubling the square footage of the facility. You know, we wanted to stay in Groves, and so we purchased the property all around us. We're tearing down the houses on the sides and adding a brand new rehabilitation wing. So it's adding 20 new beds and a brand new therapy gym and a whole administration building. So there was going to be a whole other wing full of beds, and our goal was to be able to have private rooms for all of our residents. But unfortunately, with the rise of the cost and everything, we had to scratch one of the wings. So
approximately how many new beds will we be?
well, it's adding 20 new beds, which will open up 20 beds on the old side as well, because we're currently using those for rehab. So like our rehab will move to the new unit, and then we'll be able to hold 40 more basically on the other side, because there won't be private rooms.
Well, that went to planning and zoning. I remember it went to planning and zoning, then it came to city council and you presented us. I think you had something we could look at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I remember all of that.
yeah. It's been a long time in the works. We've had a lot of obstacles that we've had to get past to get this thing done. So it's gonna be, it'll just be, you know, a great day when we finally get it started. So we're really looking forward to it.
If you don't mind us asking, what kind of number is on this project?
It's an $8 million project, and then about another $1 million in FF&E that we have to buy. So
Mayor, I'd like to recommend that we give them the same discounted rate we gave the school district, whatever that number was. That's just a recommendation.
Do you remember, Lamar?
I have to look it up, I don't recall.
We have the record, we can look it up.
As in percentage.
Percentage wise.
Yeah. And I've been trying to remember what it was.
That was a great,
Well, it was 60-40 or something like
it was
that.
a good discount.
It was a very good discount.
Very good discount.
66.
I think that's what it ended up being for them to pay. Was like 66, but I don't think the percent of project was a lot more.
$100,000.
So, yeah, I think it was like 140.
Yeah, but it was like $130 something thousand
So it
dollars.
may have been 40%. When are these fees due? Do we know, Don?
When it comes to, pay for the permit
Okay,
is when it.
how close are y'all to that?
we're pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yes, sir.
How close is it?
So the loan is in loan committee with the bank right now, and they want us to have permits and everything done before they even approve it. So the bank is out of Houston, or they're local, but their main, most of their business is out of Houston, and there's always permitting issues in Houston. So
Mr. Monk, would it be inappropriate to have a motion for the same percentage, or do you need we need an exact number?
I think you can make the motion like you're proposing with the same percentages as the school district and have no issue.
Okay. Is that, I mean,
that would be very helpful. I don't know what that's.
somewhere between 60 and 40% discount, is that, are you okay with one of those numbers if it falls in there?
That would be tremendous.
So what's 60% of 36?
21.6. If you paid the 60%, it would be 21.6. 50% would be 18,000. So, but if we can make the motion without having the exact number and just use what we do, that would be up to whoever made the motion.
Ask a question.
Yes, sir.
You said, 18% would be what?
No, 18,000 was 50%
That's
markdown.
50%.
Okay.
60% or 40% markdown will be 21,600.
Mr. Boswell, is that enough for you to be able to, oversee and permit this project?
Oh, yes, sir. That's, the price and that will cover any kind of expense that we would do doing inspections and whatnot by far. Yes, sir.
So 18,000 would
If that would help the project go forward, I'm all for it. It will cover anything that we have by far.
So you said 60% is 21,600, is that what you're saying?
I think you said that was 40%. Is that what you said? It was 18,000.
Well, 50% is 18,000.
16,000.
So would 50%
I make the motion.
We gave more than that to the school, didn't we?
Yeah, bigger project.
She doesn't consider this. So we discounted it, the permit fee 66%
66%.
for the school.
You found it?
Yeah, it was on the agenda. It was 66%. Let me backtrack. I'm not taking credit for this. I just happen to have it in my hand. I did not find it. I am reading it.
Could you give us that total, what that would be?
Yeah, what?
If we discounted 66%,
Yes, sir.
I'll get my handy dandy now. We're basing it off of 36,000, is that one?
It's slightly lower than that, but it's not more than
36,000.
Think we could just amend it, improve the 66%.
Yeah, 66% would be 12,240. That's a 66% discount.
Yeah.
Would that work?
That would be.
It'd be 12,240 based off of 36,000. But if we just set the percentage, whatever the actual permit, if it's 35.9, whatever, it'd be a little different. So if you want to set the
I'm gonna
percentage.
amend my motion.
Yeah. Percentage.
I'm gonna amend my motion to consider approval of the request at a discounted rate of 66% for the permit fee.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second to amend the motion to include a 66% discount of the permit fee. Do I have any questions?
I'd just like to ask him, after this project's done and it's doing good, you're gonna probably look at later on going, add the rest of it to it on the other properties.
We would like to. It'd be just right in the front of the facility.
Around the corner, I know where it's at.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
No other questions? We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benson.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion approved. Motion passed. Thank you. for
Thank
your
you. Thank
attendance.
you. Appreciate it.
Item 7B, discuss and approve purchase of a new garbage truck.
I make a motion, we discuss and approve purchase of a new garbage truck.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and approve the purchase of a new garbage truck. Do I have any questions?
Mayor, council, as we talked about last week, the problems that we have with issues, we have a memo that I sent out to y'all, last week about this from Michael Central, and, Michael is here also to answer your questions on it. And we also have Lamar here if there's any financial questions.
Okay, I was studying all this out and I printed up the 2021-2022 budget where you spoke about it in your memo, where the capital outlay for the garbage truck was $372,000. That's in the memo. I mean, it's in the budget. The budget, the letter that's in the budget, this is where we have that. Okay,
Right, it was split over 2 budget years.
it was, yes.
Yeah, the money was basically, I guess, stored in the equipment replacement fund. We haven't expensed it yet. We haven't paid for it, but we're just
Have we
waiting.
paid half?
We have not paid any.
Thought
We
were
don't pay
supposed
any.
to.
No, we haven't paid anything. We won't pay anything until we get the truck. It was put into the equipment replacement fund to
Yeah.
sit there and wait, so.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
been waiting for a while.
So with this new truck, we would,
So
there's savings to it.
this is an additional truck that we're asking for. The first truck, we placed on order in 2021 in October. It's still not here. It's expected between March and April. This truck that we're talking about on here is a different brand. It's being used as a demo starting next week, actually. They're gonna use it for a demo for a month. They're gonna take it back to their shop. They're gonna completely rebuild it. Then they're offering it up for sale. We have first dibs on it. I have to email her tonight, whichever way it goes.
So will this replace the one that's on order?
No, this is an additional
It's
one.
gonna be an additional truck.
Yes, because this is a very unique opportunity. If we were to order any garbage truck right now, we wouldn't get it until either December of 24, not 23, 24, or the first part of 25.
What's the expected price difference between the demo truck and a new truck if ordered?
16,000.
No, a new truck if ordered.
Oh, a new truck if ordered right now, it's 16,000, but we wouldn't get it until 2025.
But we've got the other truck on order, right?
Correct.
And what we did was put 186,000 in the
The equipment replacement fund. Yes.
major replacement fund. Last budget, have we put it in for this budget? I
Yes.
think that would be a question for,
Yes, it was put in
Okay,
in
so-
October.
so we've got 372,000 for the truck that we ordered.
Correct.
Not the one we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay, so we would need in addition.
Yes.
Lamar, could you comment on
Put 196 in previous budget. In the current budget we're in right now, we haven't put any money in equipment replacement. Indeed, we're actually expecting to take money out of equipment replacement to pay for the new truck when it arrives.
And what approximately, what's the balance of that fund?
The equipment replacement fund, 916, I think right now, 916,000.
And do we have any of the money that's in there earmarked for other things for
No, sir.
new vehicle purchases?
No, sir.
Or,
So by getting this second truck, because you've got one on order,
Correct.
and we're looking at 2025 for you get it?
No, this one we would get by no later
No,
than
no,
June.
no, the one you have on order.
It'll be here March or April of this year. That was ordered in 21.
And the money that's budgeted is to cover that truck.
Correct.
So this one we have to find the money to.
Correct.
But there's money in that fund to pay for this one?
If the council chooses, yes, ma'am.
To pay for the entire thing.
Yes, sir.
Additional money.
Additional monies, yes, this is an unbudgeted expenditure.
This is a very unique situation that we're in, as you heard from the previous people about the pandemic, the supply chain issues. It's taking longer and longer to get parts, to get vehicles. One of the problems that we ran into where we had to pay Republic to help us run our garbage routes because our trucks are so old, it's hard to find parts. We're running a 2007 and two 2010s, and our newest truck is a 2017. The 2007 truck, it's kind of like third string, but we were having to use it last week. As you dump a can in, it squirts a can out everywhere in the whole city. That's what we have to work with. And parts are getting harder and to find because anything that's 2010 and older, the whole state of California has banned all those diesels from being you can't get them permitted anymore. You can't register them. So all these manufacturers are not making parts and stocking them for all these old trucks anymore. So stuff that used to be down for a week is gonna be down for months now. And it just piles up, and then we end up having to rent trucks from Republic. That last little incident cost us $17,000, renting from Republic, and we spent $86,000 in repairs on these trucks, and they're still literally falling apart. One of them, we had to buy a bunch of metal to start welding on the bottom. The other truck that is waiting when that one's done, they're gonna start welding on that one again. So this was a truck that we had opportunity to get, so figured it was prudent to bring it to you guys, because it could be 2 years before we could get another one.
We have a motion on the floor. We may have a motion to discuss and approve purchase of a new dump truck. Yes.
Is it the same cubic yards as the old ones, the new one?
Actually, it's 1 cubic yard bigger.
That don't affect the licensing of the driver?
No, that's the same. They all require CDL. The truck part, that's the engine and everything is the same as what we have on order. There is an auto car with the Cummins engine, an Allison transmission. It's all the same. The different is the bed. The bed is different. We were able to demo one, back in, I think it was November, and it did really well with us. It worked well in our routes, ran the whole route. We almost were able to put the whole route on the truck without going to the landfill until
And it uses the same cans with the same arms.
same cans. The arms are slightly different, but all the cans are manufactured by somebody else and they make them for everybody.
So do we have to buy arms, or does it come with arms?
It comes with it. Yeah, it'll be ready to go.
That's what you're,
And if this one, if this was approved, it will be here, they're telling me no later than June, so May or June. And then, the other one that's been on order is supposed to be March or April. So by this summer, we would have 2 trucks. We wouldn't be squirting garbage out as we pick it up. It would be reliable. We'd be able to pick up on schedule, because that's becoming a problem.
So the design with this new, bed system
Mhm.
there, how old is that technology? In other words, do we run it for 5 years and now we can't get parts because it's,
No, the bed stuff is fine. It's the engine parts that are the problems because of all this emission
not the
stuff.
components?
Right, yeah, because they're all hydraulic cylinders that are simple. And this bed's actually an older design than the ones it's been since the 70s.
What year model are both of these trucks considered?
2022 is the one on order. This one, I believe, is a 23.
so the $380,016, is that payable all at once, or do we pay it installments, or how do we do that?
It'd be all at once.
All at once?
What's the lifespan of one of these trucks? What's the typical lifespan, and then what can we extract?
Typical lifespan of a garbage truck is 5 years. After that, you lose its usefulness. It becomes more costly to keep it running than you're making off of it.
But we have trucks,
We have, our newest truck is 6 years old.
right?
We've been up this truck, we got a 2007 still running, so we stretch them a long, long time.
But we do have money in the equipment replacement fund to cover this 380,000.
There's cash available in the equipment replacement fund. This, line item would be dedicated to the solid waste fund. Now we're getting a little technical here,
It's okay.
but there is a fund balance in the solid waste fund that will cover this.
Okay.
But we'll be looking at a lot smaller fund balance at the end of the year if this expense is approved. Again, we budget on a 0 basis. So we'll be depleting the fund balance in the solid waste fund. But as far as the cash is available.
does this stress things at that point, from that point forward?
Fund balance or cash? Actually, the answer is yes, it stresses both of those, as we discussed in November. It's any unbudgeted expenses, put stress on our financials. Now, that being said, there's alternatives. We can look in the upcoming budget to replenish that. But again, that'd be a budgetary decision for next year.
How soon do you need an answer on this?
Tonight,
Tonight?
I have to email her after the meeting
Oh,
to let
okay.
her know one way or the other, because there's 3 other cities in line. So,
We've been talking about garbage trucks at every meeting,
Yes, we have, quite often.
and we're getting a lot of complaints on
I'm getting
stuff.
complaints.
I am too.
Well, in the past, when we have found a unique situation and a unique deal, you know, whether it created heartburn or not, I believe, you know, the city has pounced on it, like in 2 trucks for the price of 1.5 for the fire department. I would like to show my support in going ahead and trying to get ahead of a problem that seems to be growing, and maybe just tighten the purse strings in the future, and maybe try to eliminate one problem before it becomes a bigger problem.
Well, we could handle that in the upcoming budget for the next year, though. We could find a way to,
As we've discussed, yeah, we can just put a line item to replenish the fund balance from the solid waste fund to offset this. But there'll be
So
other,
we
well,
could-
there'll be a give and take with the budget process to find ways to do that, but it can be done, yes.
okay. So we have a way of dealing with it. I think having 2 new garbage trucks is a good thing.
Well, we've been renting trucks quite a bit lately.
Yeah. And they would be delivered this year or so.
yes.
Are these older trucks, are they sellable, possibly?
They are, and that would recoup a little bit,
Salvage them.
yeah, they're not worth a whole lot, but yes, they are sellable. I mean, we still use them,
Yeah,
so.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
Understand that. I'm not saying get rid of both of them.
Right.
If you kept one and.
The idea would be to get rid of one of them and, you know, bump everything down. And then, our main spare would be our 2017, which is our new truck right now. That would be the main spare.
But nothing else, the money spent on that could be used to help repair the older one, whatever, but.
Correct. Yeah.
Can you ever break it down and sell parts on eBay or something?
Yes, I know.
We go get some of those trucks in California outlaws.
Yeah.
Take them to Texas, let's go. Any other questions at this time? Okay, we'll vote on the motion at hand. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benson. Aye. Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Good new truck on the way. Take care of them.
Thank y'all.
7C will be discussed and consider a draft amendment to the existing sign ordinance pertaining to temporary off-site signage in the city of Groves, right-of-ways and easements.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider a draft amendment to the existing sign ordinance pertaining to temporary off-site signage in the city of Groves right of ways and easements.
Section.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and consider a draft amendment to the existing sign ordinance pertaining to temporary off-site signage in the city of Groves right of ways and easements. Do I have any questions?
Oh, we got that today in our email and I haven't had time yet to read through it thoroughly.
This is the latest draft.
Yes, this is the latest draft. Basically, we provide some definitions of off-site signage, try to limit the ordinance or amendment to that specifically. We do carve out exceptions for yard signs, as was discussed at the past meeting. We carve out some exceptions for real estate signage. And then we provide for the ability for the city to remove signage that was a penalty.
Is there penalties to the people if it continues? Is there a penalty that these people would pay?
Fine.
Yes.
Yes, there is. There'd be a fine consistent with other ordinance violations. It'd be a continuing violation if it was left up, and then continuing fines along those lines, $500 per violation.
Wow. Do you have something in here? Because I'm sorry, I wasn't able to read it through thoroughly today, but do you have something in there for people that put signs on city property?
Yes.
That it would be a fine or?
Absolutely. It's defined that if it's within the right of ways or on city property, parks and things such as that, where it would be a violation.
Or election signs permitted.
Election signs are permitted. They were already permitted. The past ordinance, and we didn't touch anything.
Yeah, there are new ordinances.
I like it.
And the provisions you had in there also cover Mr. Menino's sign that he puts out once a year.
Absolutely. We took that into account. Yeah.
Where did we get the 4 square feet in area for the, yard signs for school activities, sports, military activities? Where did that square footage come from?
That was just something where I took a stab, so subject to change, if council would like.
Because that is also limiting on the private property, is that correct?
It is only for off-site signage that we're limited. Where are you at?
I'm under yard sign, under C. For newborn, well, let's see, home security can only be 1 square foot. Then it goes
In an
into
area.
school activity or sport or military activity or the presence of animals shall not exceed 4 square feet
Right,
in area,
right,
but seasonal decorations are excluded.
correct.
Are
I'm
you
just curious
saying-
where that came from.
Are you saying only one sign? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just wondering where the size of the sign limits to,
I think,
where that came from.
I think that came from other similar ordinances. I think that language specifically may have come from Euless, City of Euless.
You know, big the normal signs are that are being made for less than 2 foot tall. They're about 2 foot wide. One might not be about 4 feet tall.
24 by 18,
Yeah, that probably sounds about right.
it's less than 4
For the standard.
for standard election sign anyway.
Well, election signs aren't covered in
Well,
that.
or for sale sign.
Yeah,
I'm
election.
talking about if your daughter plays for the high school and you put a sign in your yard, it can't be more than 4 square feet in your own personal yard.
Oh, you're talking about.
Can't, not blocking driveways, not blocking easements, not blocking traffic.
Yeah, the
But
football
you're
sign.
limiting,
Should be no limit on that.
if someone gets a vinyl 4x8 sign, they're in violation.
Well, all of this is optional. We're not voting to make it stick tonight. This is just to
No,
go over things
this
and,
is helpful feedback though.
and
In terms of
figure
making,
out.
that's right, in terms of making changes, that's helpful.
Well, I would be, I'm 100% okay with, anything blocking the, well, school signs, welcome home from the military signs, anything like that. This says newborn arrival signs. I would like to see maybe that limited to maybe just no obstructed view of roadways or anything like that, because I mean,
Yeah, because people put balloons out and big old huge.
the yard signs for birthdays and anniversaries and all that stuff, that would be definitely more than.
I thought you were talking about city right of ways.
Well, no, this is yard signs for personal property, is what this says.
Let people get mine. Put mine where I want.
So,
As long as it's not blocking.
I would, and that would fall under the other, side of the ordinance where you can't block,
But usually
street
that-
signs and things like that.
Yeah, usually those signs are closer to the house, usually.
Oh. If we're helping with the draft, I mean, one thing I would like to see that maybe go away.
Very good. Thank you.
I don't see a need for that part of it. Everything else would be pretty standard and good. I would hate to be in violation of the ordinance that, you're putting out already because mine's bigger than that.
Going to spend money on your.
Yeah. It's recycled, but repainted, so it's good. So we have no action on this,
Well, just to discuss.
just to discuss. Right. Okay. Any other questions at this time? That was the only thing I really saw, so. I made it. Was that? We had a motion to discuss, but I don't believe it calls for a vote. There's no vote, so. All righty. Everybody good with that one? All right. We'll move on. 7D, consider and approve a draft waiver for vendors participating in the Spring Fest event.
I make a motion, consider and approve a draft waiver for vendors participating in the Spring Fest event.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second to consider approve a draft waiver for vendors participating in the Spring Fest event. Do you have any questions? I don't have it here.
Yeah, you should have,
We got that
There it is. I got it.
in the email today too.
you should have an application at the bottom, the language, the whole bottom was signed.
I did look at them. A lot of stuff.
So what is this exactly?
So this is the application for the vendors for the event. And specifically, we had a recommendation from TML that we include some hold harmless language and indemnification language, and so that's at the bottom of the application. I thought since we had that language, we should get it approved by council and have you consider that.
Does this go along with some of the other events that have been held where we want them to be basically take care of their own stuff?
Correct.
Their own insurance.
This is the application, or I should say, this is the form that was presented to help us get to that point.
TML recommended some
Okay.
language, and that's included there at the bottom section of the first page.
Okay.
And your language here, it would completely exonerate the city. The city would not be held liable for anything, damage, hurt, or anything like that, and city employees and city council.
That's correct, with the one exception being claims arising from the sole negligence or willful misconduct of the city. So in that case, there still could be potential liability that's extremely unlikely.
And what would that be? An example of that?
If it was,
Putting roadblocks up or something?
if it was the city's employees specifically that took the act that caused the harm, so yeah, failing to act in any way with respect to an emergency, that would be one thing you should think of. Maybe failing to enforce an ordinance, that caused harm. If it was the city's employee that was responsible for that solely, then that would still be something the city could be liable for.
Any other questions? No questions? All right, no questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benzel. Aye. Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Seven E, discuss and take vote on scheduling a date to select an executive search firm to hire the city manager.
I make a motion, we discuss and take a vote on scheduling a date to select an executive search firm to hire city manager.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and take a vote on scheduling a date to select an executive search firm to hire the city manager. Do I have any questions?
Y'all get your calendars out.
See, our next city meeting is the 27th. I'm assuming we probably want to do it before then. What kind of notice? 72-hour notice for the meetings? What's the 20th? Anybody have the 20th is President's Day. We're not.
Holiday.
Is any cities off that?
It's also Congress.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Got the 21st.
Rather the 22nd.
Got that too.
That's Ash Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
We could do it on Thursday, huh?
23rd.
Do we have to do it before the next city council
We don't
meeting?
have to.
Well,
Sooner the better.
you don't have to, yeah.
I mean, we've got, that's the only four we're gonna have, so
I have a conflict with the 23rd, sorry.
21st, yeah.
Could we not do the 22nd?
That was Ash Wednesday.
Oh. Okay.
You're the one who pointed that out.
I said it. I didn't say I had a conflict with it, I just said it.
Looks like you made the.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah, well, the 21st.
everybody's
I
off
want to
then?
go to church.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody have any issues with the 21st? It's a Tuesday, but I'll make it.
Shouldn't be alone, it'd be the only thing on the agenda, right?
Man, we would hope so.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing.
It's a workshop, so is
It's
it,
gonna be a special
No,
meeting,
It'll be a
it's
special
special
meeting,
meeting.
that way we can take a vote.
because we have to vote.
shouldn't we have a workshop to discuss the companies?
We can do it that day.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, cause I
Yeah,
want to just,
we'll have time.
I'd like to know what
Yeah, we
everybody's
do both.
opinion.
Well, we can do it just like this, we can talk about it,
Okay,
and we can have a discussion before we vote.
Yeah, because most of the time y'all discuss it before.
The day we
Y'all
want
have
to
to
address.
vote.
The 21st is a Tuesday. If everybody pleases and someone wants to make that amendment,
what does that mean? I amend my motion to schedule a date of February the 21st, is that right? February 21st to select an executive search firm to hire for city manager.
You wanna do it at 5?
I'm sorry, at 5 p.m. Is that good for everybody?
second, anybody second?
A second.
Have a motion and a second to, amend the motion to include February 21st for the date on scheduling a date to select an executive search firm to hire the city. Do you have any questions on that? It'll be February 21st, Tuesday at 5 p.m. And that will be a special meeting. Any questions? No questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bensel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Duty.
Aye.
Motion passes. Date's February 21st. Item 7F, authorize the city attorney to engage the services of third parties, including but not limited to forensic accountant and other third party that is reasonably necessary to determine if the city finances have been handled appropriately and take a record vote.
I make a motion that we authorize the city attorney to engage the services of third parties, including but not limited to forensic accountant and any other third party that is reasonably necessary to determine if the city finances have been handled appropriately and take a record vote.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the city attorney to engage the services of third parties, including but not limited to a forensic accountant and other third party that is reasonably necessary to determine if the city's finances have been handled appropriately and take a record vote. Do I have any questions?
I would just like to say that we're in the process of looking for a city manager. Having this audit would, I guess, give us as council, a better understanding of where our finances really are. And whoever, we end up, picking it as city manager would basically have a clean slate to start with. So it would, I think would be something that, would have a lot of value, and whoever we would pick would appreciate, as a city manager, being able to come in, with that.
Well, if we do this, this starts a new period in our finances and our financial background in whatever, whatever questions anyone has concerning our finances. The people in the city have wanted a forensic accounting for a long time. However, since we're in the process of changing, finding a new city manager, I don't think it would be fair for somebody to come in and have a barrage of things against them. We need a start and a stop. We need a stopping place and a starting place where we know that city manager started here. We've had a forensic accounting. We know where the city's at financially, and that person can move forward from there.
Lamar, when's our next scheduled audit? Just,
We're in the middle of it right now. You have a questionnaire in front of you.
I saw that.
Mhm.
And there are another ones to be done like in March, next month, or is it,
This is the same audit, it'll be
Same audit.
presented to council.
Okay.
But I think it's important to know that people in this city have been asking for it. I mean, I've gotten people that talk to me about it, and tell me that this is something they want.
This would be independent of what is, regular business
Yes.
that the city, goes through. Am I correct?
I'm not aware, Councilman, I'm not involved in this discussion at all. So I have no way to answer that question.
I'm saying this
A forensic audit is
forensic
separate.
audit. It is separate from the business of the audits that you go through periodically.
Again, I'm not able to answer that question as I'm not aware of what council's been requesting or discussing. I've been out of that. The city auditor has not been involved in this discussion. There's no way for me to answer that accurately.
Well, it would be a separate,
I
it
guess
would be
what
a
I'm
separate
saying-
county.
What I'm saying is the city goes through, these audits every year, am I correct?
The city has an audit every year, yes, sir.
Every year. This would be independent of that.
This would be separate in part from the existing audit
Correct.
as
And
described
that's what
currently. I
I
don't
would
know
like to,
what you're planning on doing.
yes.
Do we have any idea what something like this is gonna cost?
65,000 to start,
Minimal?
minimum,
How much is that?
$65,000 to
And
start. Depending on how much time you want to go back, depending on how expansive you want to do it, it's only going to get bigger from there.
very well.
Well, I mean, how much is peace of mind? How much is peace of mind? How much do you pay for that? How much does the city pay for peace of mind saying we've had a forensic audit? They found or didn't find anything. We are a clean city. Our finances are clean and we start from there and go forward.
We wanted to include certain areas of our finances on top of what's already been done in the current audit. Can that be added to the current audit?
Absolutely. That's part of the questionnaire y'all been given, and y'all are welcome to reach out to the city auditor at any time and send a report directly to the city council.
I want to see an independent auditor come in aside from what normal business is.
Oh, yeah.
So an independent that isn't leaning one way or the other, they're just doing the facts.
Yes, Mr. Baden.
As former city councilman, 15 years, we had independent auditors every year. You couldn't spend money on a water treatment plant, you're gonna throw away $65,000 to $100,000 on an audit that we've already had and we've had every year, and we've never failed on one.
Mr. Baden, no decision has been made. Please do not put words in this council's mouth.
We're not throwing away money to begin with. This council doesn't throw away.
My opinion.
Understanding the concern there, this isn't to see who we can, I think a lot of people, may look at it as, we need to find someone that we can hang. That's not the intent of this. The intent is to find out where we are. I honestly, in 2 years that I've been on council, can't tell you if this city are we in the red? Did we carry over a debt from last year's budget to this year's budget? Did we carry any debt over into this year? In other words, to finish paying?
We have the bond issues that are scheduled, but there's not. There are always going to be a carryover. Once the fiscal year ends, there'll be invoices that come in after the fact. And those are always accrued through adjusting entries back to the prior year. That's part of the normal course of closing the fiscal year. If that's what you're addressing. If you're addressing the fund balance, perhaps, okay.
No, just once the fiscal budget is spent, is there additional monies left over or unspent, or is there a negative?
It varies from year to year and fund to fund, and that's all discussed and presented in the budget, and in the audit that's been presented to council. And when the auditor comes and presents to council his findings, he's gone through each fund and described to you exactly where the fund balance was and the changes from the prior position of the year prior. In other words, we're going to budget zero net, but reality is it's either going to be a positive or negative at the end of the year. And that number will affect the fund balance or savings, if you will. And that's what they say, here's the fund balance at the end of the year after the adjustments have been made. And then we'll start from there with the new budget. Again, budgeting zero, but as we just did with the garbage truck, there's a fund balance to pull from that we can afford things like that or not, generally speaking. But that's presented to you in each audit.
Right, at the end of every year,
Yes, ma'am.
budget year, monies that have not been spent on what was budgeted are put back into general fund,
They fall to the fund balance, yes, for expenditure at a later date.
and then
If
every budget
ever.
is standalone.
Every budget is standalone, that is correct. So when council passes the budget, it's gonna have all the revenue sources with estimates. And it's gonna have all the expenditures with estimates for the upcoming fiscal year. And revenues have to match expenditures. That's why you have a zero balanced budget. And at the end of the year, you go through and count it all up and you can see that we did positive or negative, and that's just how it goes every year. And those are all presented in the audit.
So at the end of the last budget year, that would be, September 2021,
Okay.
2020,
We're working on the 22 audit right now, fiscal year ending 22.
okay.
The
So-
2021 budget or audit has been presented to council.
How much money was turned over into general fund?
We had almost about $100,000, generally speaking, to the bottom line, if that's what you're asking. And as you hear us discuss how the fund balance has grown slowly, that's exactly how we've grown it, going back to our November conversation. That's exactly how we've been trying to increase the general fund balance after we recovered from Harvey.
I think this would be a big asset for us. And the new city manager coming in. To me, this is a small price to pay, $60,000 or $70,000. To understand, exactly, what our budget, what the forensic, audit would show us.
So through the current auditing process, if there was money missing, would the current audit find it?
Indeed, that's part of their job is to find those type of issues.
So,
And they
so with the
identified-
clean audit for the last 5 years, they've identified no missing monies. Every dollar that came in was spent on the city. So I see no need to spend $65,000 to tell us that we've done the right thing. So, I am not in favor of this. I don't believe it is any benefit to us whatsoever, except possibly try to sling mud at somebody in the past.
We're not trying to slay mud at
I can
anybody.
have my opinion, Ms.
Yes, you-
Dugas.
Yes, you can, and you don't have to yell. What's wrong with you? Dear Lord,
Well, I'm tired of getting cut off by you. That's what's wrong with me.
I didn't cut you off. And by the way, we're not slinging mud at anybody. What we.
The mayor's
want is
opinion
a
has been
clean
stated.
City with clean finances, and this would give it to us.
I think it's a tool that would work very well, with us in the process of hiring a new city manager. Letting him know that this has been done and that, as he, works through his, tenure that, something doesn't come up, he gets blamed for. There's a fresh slate, let's say, to go with. I think it's a tool that would, be very beneficial.
Any other questions? No questions? We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes no. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams?
No.
Councilmember Benzel?
No.
Councilmember Oliver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dukes?
Yes,
Motion fails.
city, I'm sorry, but I did my very best for you.
Item 7G, consider and discuss authorizing the city attorney to conduct an investigation into accusations alleging violations of the Open Meetings Act and take a record vote.
I make a motion to consider and discuss authorizing the city attorney to conduct an investigation into accusations alleging violations of the Open Meeting Act and take a record vote.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to consider and discuss authorizing the city attorney to conduct an investigation into accusations alleging violations to the Open Meetings Act and take a record vote. Do I have any questions?
Can you elaborate on this exactly what that would involve? Cause I'm at a loss here.
Well, I actually would need guidance on that too. So there have been numerous accusations that have been presented to me related to violations of the potential violations of the Open Meetings Act from a variety of different parties. And so the question really is for council, does council want me to look further into any of those alleged violations? And to the extent they do, I would need guidance as to, what we would be looking into. The authority to do this comes from the charter itself. In terms of the investigative authority of the city attorney, but I would need guidance in terms of what we're looking into.
If you feel that from your discussions with whomever has questioned, do you feel that it warrants this?
I think there could be some advantage to the city to conduct an investigation. I will say that so far from the information I've been provided, I don't necessarily see that there have been violations, but they've been accused, right? And so I think there could be some benefit for the city to look at those things and determine are all the operations of the city compliant with the Open Meetings Act? And so along those lines, I can see some positive coming from.
Okay.
Well, with an accusation there, or several accusations or multiple, many accusations, whoever they're against or whatever is being said, it would be to the benefit of the city, of city council, of the residents of the city to know whether or not something has been violated with the Open Meeting Act.
Now, I mean, to be clear, what I can offer there is I don't offer the answer as to whether there's been a violation. That's something the district attorney might investigate, other
Right.
law enforcement officials might investigate that.
Yeah,
But the city attorney does have authority to look into the procedures and determine if there's been a violation and then work to try to correct that if that had been the case. So I think there's some value potentially just identifying that we think there's anything that we need to do better.
right.
Any other questions? All right, no other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes no. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wenzel.
No.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. 7H, amend resolution authorizing participation in the tax pool investments pools and amending designating authorized representatives.
Need a motion?
It doesn't say, but yeah, I would assume so if we're changing something, yes.
Resolution, we need a motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion, we amend resolution authorizing participation in the tax pool, investment pools, and amending designated authorized representatives.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second to amend the resolution authorizing participation in the tax pool investment pools and amending designated authorized representatives. Do I have any questions? And this is, I believe the explanation here is to, remove Mr. Sosa and Mr. Vio. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Just as signatures.
And we'll have to do this again when, if and when the change comes for the next person.
So all this does is add Mr. Billy.
It removes Mr. Sosa and adds Lance, will help you spell.
Thank you for pointing that out, Lamar.
Any other questions?
One more responsibility.
No other questions? Vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wenzel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Seven I, discuss and consider authorizing at the request of Stephen Mercantile, owner of the Bonus Game Room at 5130 Twin City Highway, that he be allowed to temporarily continue operations during the suspension of applications pending the consideration of proposed amendments to the game rooms and gaming machine ordinance.
Is Mr. Mercantile here?
Yes, he is.
Oh, here you
But we'll need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion, we discuss and consider authorizing at the request of Stephen Marcantel, owner of the Bonus Room at 5130 Twin City Highway, that he will be allowed to temporarily continue operations during the suspension of applications pending the consideration of proposed amendments to the game rooms and gaming machine ordinance.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and consider authorizing at the request of Stephen Mercantile, owner of the Bonus Room at 5130 Twin City Highway, that he be allowed to temporarily continue operations during the suspension of applications pending the consideration of proposed amendments to the game rooms and gaming machine ordinance. Do I have any questions? I believe, we're in the process of trying to change the ordinance for a, special permit or a specific use permit. And this would allow him to stay open up and through his the application process so that we finish and he can apply and then he would get and a decision through that. Are there any other questions? Or any questions at this time?
So how would we do this? We would vote on what, giving him a temporary pass, is that what you would call it? How would you put it, Mr.?
I agree with that temporary, allowance of continuous operations. And I think you could choose to do it for a definite period of time, or you could choose to do it until we've enacted the application, allow him some time after that. I think it's gonna take him some time. He's gonna be required to comply with the specific use component. So I do think that's one thing that we need to think about and consider, if he's gonna be expected, if the ordinance were to pass. And if he were to be asked to comply, you know, how much time would he need? I think that's something we have to think about.
And you can tell us that.
Yes, ma'am. First off, allow me to say thank you for bringing us to speak today. I understand everyone is busy and it's been a long meeting, so I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. My name is Stephen Morgatel, and I'm the owner and operator of the game room located at 5130 Twin City Highway. My first concern is the nature of how this vote came to pass. As you may be aware at this point, we were grandfathered into these special use changes for this year. This was also confirmed on the news by the city manager, D. Sosa. I also called Mr. Sosa to verify these statements after I saw the news interview, to which he did. To further add credence to this exact situation took place from November 2019 to February 2020, when the game room regulations were initially voted in. We were approved and allowed to operate in November of 2019. And 3 months later in February, the regulations were voted in. We were grandfathered into those until the following year when we renewed. So while the council did vote to not allow us to put in that application this year, that did not remove us from our grandfather clause. So that being said, I do not understand why the city would put itself into a precarious position like this. I have been informed that there is absolutely a legality issue with this method and with this, in which this has taken place. And with the public statements being made by the city official in charge of this situation, it's going to be extremely difficult to walk this back. I also do not wish to harm the city in any way, and we are very grateful for being allowed to operate. We have done our best to honor our word and that we would run this place clean. We have never broken a regulation or rule in more than 4 years of operation. This brings me to how we keep this place run clean and why this situation presents a hardship that cannot be avoided if we are shut down. We keep armed security outside the door from open to close, 7 days a week. Because of this, we have never had an altercation out during business hours in the 3 years that we have had security outside. The community of people who play with us are either elderly retirees who just don't want to drop to Louisiana, or plant workers who just come to blow some steam off in the afternoons after work. All business is not good business, and we would not subject our neighbors to having customers who are not decent people. Anyone who speaks to the contrary need only supply date and time, and I can provide video evidence that there's absolutely nothing going on at that place that shouldn't be. I have 6 months video history surrounding the building. I can be sure of that because I employ guys who absolutely do not want to lose their jobs. The going pay rate for a game room employee is $9 an hour. And I pay my workers $30 an hour. This is not because we make so much money that I can just give it away. This is because I've always been a believer in changing a person's quality of life, even at the expense of my own, which is exactly what I've done with these employees. These guys are all graduating in December with master's degrees from Lamar, every single one of them. I have 2 chemists, an advanced programmer, and a civil engineer. I hired 1 chemist first, and in November, after I saw the news and spoke with the city manager, I told the 1 worker I needed more guys just like him. Meaning hardworking, salt-of-the-earth type guys who were honest and loyal. So he went and got 4 of his personal friends who all graduated in the same class to come and work for me. His only concern being that these guys would be quitting their jobs during their last year in school. I assured him that we had no reason to be concerned about their employment, as we do not operate in a way that could get us shut down, and the upcoming changes we are grandfathered into until after all of you graduate. So these guys all set their final class schedules based on their days off at this game room. Just to be clear, for the past 3 years, I have paid $2,500 a week to have security outside every day from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. when we are absolutely the only people left in that parking lot.
I would need to be robbed every week in order to make security worth it from a financial standpoint. I keep security not to protect money, but for my workers, for my customers, for my neighbors, and for the city. We have an issue with one gentleman who I chose not to hire, who then tried to blackmail me and proceeded to rob me over and over this past year. But he never did so with security present, and never until late at night. Because during business hours, we have always been completely safe. Now, we have changed all policies to where there's nothing to steal after hours either. Also, that gentleman has been arrested and is not getting out. So there's no one to save by shutting us down. Only employee lives can be damaged today. My number one priority has always been safety up there, which is why we chose to install lights all the way around the building to short gaps in security back there where it was dark. I paid out of pocket for this, along with many, many other things at that building, just to help leave it better than we found it. However, no one in their right mind would spend thousands of dollars doing something like that just to operate for another 40 days. Also, speaking to the same effect, I spoke with the city attorney after my application was denied initially, trying to understand what was going on. He then advised me to continue on in this process for my renewal and do everything we normally do during that process. Well, that advice has me spending thousands more dollars paying for state and county tax as well as machine stickers for the year, all being done to renew. Never questioning spending this money because I'm grandfathered in and no one is telling me otherwise, even though I'm bringing it up constantly at this point. I can't afford to pay these guys salaries if we get shut down. That's the downfall to paying that much money in salary. It can't be covered without the income. So these guys who start making 3 times what they have ever made before now have new places to live and vehicles that they will absolutely lose if they lose their income, which is going to destroy the credit of 5 guys who have been on the dean's list at Lamar for 3 years. Even only temporarily losing employment does this. Considering the path we have taken to get us here, I just don't find that right. I gave these guys my word they would be employed until December, the same as I gave the city my word I would run that place clean. I honor my word. That is why I'm feeling like I need to fight this. I don't even want this place anymore. It has ruined my mental and physical health. I spent the last year thinking that this guy was going to break in my house every night.
Mr. Markendale, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
The specific use permit, is that something that's going to stop your business from going forward? Because it's just a specific use permit.
Right, and the problem is that our renewal lapsed on the 10th.
Right.
Which put us at the mercy of a specific use permit, meaning that if the idea was to shut us down, not saying that that would be, but if people had a preconceived notion and wanted to vote no without even giving us a chance, it puts us at the mercy of that and shuts us down when we should have been grandfathered through this process and had to deal with this next year, which I don't even plan on renewing it next year. So.
Well, Mr. Markendale, even with the specific use permit, and even if your permit were being renewed like from the 10th, if the city council had voted at that time for a specific use permit, you would have to go by those rules.
Correct, but they didn't.
Well, we haven't gotten to the voting part of it yet.
Right, but the issue that I'm finding is that with the lapse, it puts me in a position, like I said, which puts me at the mercy of that when legally I had a grandfather clause that allowed me to move beyond this process this year. So in going through this,
But you would still, when the.
I
we
find-
have the public hearing today, no, that's okay, I'm sorry. We have the public hearing today and city council hasn't voted completely
Right.
for this. But if in fact we do, are you saying that that specific use permit would shut your business down?
no ma'am, no ma'am. The problem is that if it's denied here or the next time, because of how this happened, it places the city in a strange situation. And that's what I've been informed by my representation and looking into this when I was
Your
told.
legal representation?
Yes, ma'am. When I was told that I couldn't put the application in. To me, it didn't sound correct, so I contacted somebody to see if that was, to try to figure out how to navigate this situation.
Mr. Monk, what's your opinion on this?
So the application is a yearly application.
Mhm.
I have a hard time understanding the presentation that somebody would be grandfathered in. In terms of the timing, I think it was unfortunate timing. And I think that's what we're trying to correct here with this agenda item. Is my understanding is we're not necessarily debating whether we're gonna go to specific use or not, because that's for later in a hearing. But the question right now is, whether we want to temporarily allow him to remain open and give him an opportunity to see what happens and then come back to council with that. So I think we're, in my mind, we're jumping ahead and we're assuming that he's going to be out of business. And I don't see that that's necessarily the result if the process goes the way that council should handle it. So.
Hey, if that's the way it goes, that's perfectly fine.
At this time, would you be willing to accept a temporary extension that we're voting on, that we would be voting on
Yes,
tonight?
sir.
How long would the temporary extension be?
I think that's up to council, and I think that's an important question, because if he is going to be required to go on and submit for specific use, that could take him some time to get together.
How
So
much time?
I already know what it entails.
I would think weeks. It's an application,
Okay.
So if we said, okay, we'll give a 2-month extension, we should have the ordinance in place by then.
Don, do you have any information on this?
Yeah, for a specific use permit, it takes at least a month and a half.
Okay,
Okay, so everything goes, just.
So I think that's the latter, that's the bigger problem, probably.
Okay, so if we give a 3-month extension from now, then that gives us time to have the ordinance in. It gives him time to operate his business. And then, at that point, at the end of the 3 months, you would apply for.
I think that's very fair. Yes, sir.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, thank you.
so your recommendation was 3 months?
Yes, sir. That gives, Mr. Driver ample time to. If there is, it could take up to 2 months, so
But that only gives us a month to finalize the ordinance.
Well, we have the public hearing today, planning and zoning votes on it. Rodney Passetti's here today. You can speak to that, the planning and zoning vote.
Yeah, planning and zoning is here. It looks like we have a quorum here tonight. And, so following the public hearing, we have a scheduled meeting. And then we'll go from there, and then it would.
And then it goes back to.
Then it comes back to city council.
The next time y'all need to be on the agenda for y'all.
The next city council meeting? Okay. That timing seems to work.
If whoever made the motion wants to amend for a 3-month time frame extension.
Rob, I think you made.
Can I make a motion? Amend the motion to extend operations during the suspension of applications for 3 months.
Oh, a second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the motion to include a 3-month operations period while the applications have been suspended. Do you have any questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor abstains. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's see, item 8, city attorney, there's nothing for you today. 9, city manager invoices, please.
The invoice list for February 13th, 2023. City of Port Arthur landfill, fees for December 27th, 2022 to January 25th, 2023, $19,490. DXI Industries coring for the water plant, $6,861.60. DXI Industries chlorine and sulfur dioxide for the water plant is $9,031.20. Entergy electric bill for all city buildings, $46,140.61. Isle of Texas replacement dump arm for rapid rail system on garbage truck, $5,639.96. Lower Natchez Valley Authority raw water purchase, $23,940.74. Novus Wood Group grinding and hauling off of green waste debris, $10,904.90. Philpott Motors catalytic converter job for 2 police cars, $7,052.02. Republic Services commercial dumpster collection, $6,448.08. Roto-Rooter Beaumont replacement of RPZ at the fire station, $5,923.78. Vulcan Construction Materials, base material for backfilling roadways after utility installation, $5,190.93, for a grand total of $146,623.82.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoices for February 13th, 2023.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the invoice approval list for February 13th, 2023. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead, Shay. The catalytic converter job for the 2 police cars, was that replacement, repair?
That's a good question.
2 of them was
Reading my mind.
they special call it, but mine
It doesn't say on here. I don't see any further information.
Can we find out?
I could find out for you definitely, is there?
Do you know?
It's for 2 Ford Explorers. They were clogged for use. Each vehicle, I think, is over 100,000, maybe 130,000 miles. That was the purpose. If I could say,
So it is just replacement?
not theft.
Not theft.
They weren't investigating anything. In the night park area, but-
Yeah.
That's good.
What is an RPZ fire station?
It's actually, it's not the RPZ that it was the backflow preventer that's on the outside. It was caught in freeze. Unfortunately, got caught up in the freeze, yes.
Do you have any warranty on
It's
it?
exposed to the.
Yeah, we have since, got some, I've got SEI gonna do some insulation for us on that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's above ground there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's one of those things we've never had to deal with and never really thought about. And, they say that it happens quite a bit because people forget about them just that way.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wenzel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Hi.
Motion passes. Item 10, councilmember comments.
Got a couple things.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to see a couple reports. One, while Mr. Vigo is in this position, anything that he finds is concerning or anything he wants to bring to our attention, maybe do it in a work session. Not so much personnel matters, but, just anything, didn't find like you were talking about, something to that degree. Something the city's not functioning properly, something that you see that since you're here, but it's kind of a unique situation. And I like to identify some of these things before we bring somebody else in.
As of right now, that's the thing I found. Okay. So if I find something else before that, I wouldn't say I found,
Right.
it was called my attention. Right. I'll say that.
And another thing is I'd like to get a report on the Mike Harris building on 39th Street. I keep getting calls on that. Dawn, is Dawn still here?
No.
Okay.
I think they.
Yes, there is.
There it is.
Do you know where we stand on the Mike Harris building on 39th Street? Where do we stand with
Well,
that?
there's a buyer interested in buying all his properties there on the corner, the old convenience store, the sweets or lack of better term, the little shops right next to him, the concession stand behind him, so I don't know where they're at with that. That's a commercial building. It'll take a lot of money for the city to bring that down.
So will that, so if someone purchases that, is that gonna give them the responsibility of taking care of it and bringing it up to code?
They were wanting to renovate it and put offices there is what his plans are.
Okay,
And he's done it here in Groves before. I don't want to tell the guy's name because he didn't.
that's fine. And the other one is the Renaissance Hospital. Do you know where we stand on that?
No, sir, other than a man's also was inquiring to make living assistance.
I have spoke with the individual that's buying it. He is in the process of, they're moving forward. It's just a long process,
Right.
but it keeps moving forward.
Okay.
We need an email on that. We need email updates on the Mike Harris building and on the hospital.
That's it, Mayor.
Any other council member comments?
Yes, I do. The two items, F and G. I had asked that they be scheduled on the previous previous city council. And, we were told that you, Mr. Bourne, had asked that they be, put off until this city council because you were out of town.
I did, yes.
Yes,
I did.
but that is not in the charter. It is not in the ordinances and it is not in the procedure book that is the right way to do. We could have gone ahead and put it on the, city council agenda. And we could have tabled it until you had gotten back in town.
Understood, and I believe Mr. Villa has already taken responsibility for that and
It's
been
not
reprimanded.
No, it's not Mr. Villa.
Oh, are you blaming
He
me
did.
for it?
Yes, I am, because you're the one that asked that it be done, and all he did.
I'm allowed to ask,
You can
and I
ask.
said,
Yes,
Mr.
you can
Villa,
ask, but it is
I would like
not.
to ask council
It
to
is
move it to
not
another
in the
meeting.
charter, it is not in the procedure, it is not in the ordinance. So it should have been allowed to be put on the agenda.
I never
We could have
didn't allow
tabled
I never said, don't put it on there. I said, ask
You're
council
blaming
if they will.
Bill, and he's an interim city manager, he's new at this, he didn't know. It is not his fault.
Okay. Mr. Villa, did I tell you not to put that on the agenda?
No, sir, I asked if anybody had any opposition.
You don't have to explain anymore. We're good.
No,
You've
not
already
exactly.
taken your reprimand.
No, he has not been reprimanded at all. Maybe by you, but not by me.
Well, go ahead.
But you should.
Reprimand him. He's sitting right there.
Stop it. It is not a laughing matter when you violate, when you don't go by the ordinances, the charter, or the procedure. It's not funny.
Are you accusing me of
The
something?
next time
Are you
this-
accusing me of something?
The next time this happens, I would like things to be put on the agenda. We can table it until you get back in town.
I never asked him not to put it on there. I asked him to
No,
ask council.
You're so good at passing the buck to Mr. Villa, but he did not know any better.
He sent out an email saying, please,
Funny.
please.
I give it out to you,
Hey.
can't tell me not to,
Order, both of y'all.
okay? I'm a citizen.
Contain yourself, Mr. Bateman, please.
Oh, shit.
I was allowed to ask a question. I did. He sent out an email asking you for your
Yes,
response. You
and
did not
I-
respond.
No.
He made a
I
decision.
responded when I asked that it be put on the agenda, and a second was done. It should have been put on the agenda regardless of what anybody else asked, because that's the procedure.
So are you accusing me of something? Is there a formal complaint or a file to be charged? What would you like to do?
I don't know if there is.
What would
then we
appease you,
should.
Ms. Dugas? What would appease you? What would make you happy in this
For you to
situation?
do what, look, I'm not the one that wanted to subvert the charter in the first place. But I would like things to be done the way they're supposed to be done. I have to do it that way. I'm held accountable. Why isn't anybody else?
Any other council member comments?
Do you have an EDC meeting after?
We have 2 public hearings and an EDC meeting. Being no other comments, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:08.
Yeah, it's not a bad. It's a one man. So I'm only gonna go first. Yeah, it's like I'll share it since I'm. He said back with our girlfriend, he has a Steve Bow, that feet 104. It's so like that. I just had to impact on it. Robin Ritter, you probably had a little bit John Scott. And that.
So this is big. January's already up there.
4 weeks forward. It's a little about her house. You know, it's not very close.
Yeah. I'll change it.
Well, I mean, this is bigger system. I don't have the picture of it here. You the one that got recruited? Okay, so now.
He's not here when I'm done. She's they don't know. Yes.
When I just got the other day, I was saying, I didn't know she was in the year, but if you drove by, like, it's a, yeah. I was an 8 come down there. And then we have, yeah, and then it might be a lot better. This give me right there. I mean, right now, we just got a bunch of stuff. But luckily, the checks out, originally, the check balance inside there was that must be $15,000. Everybody said the check balance.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think
you're.